Today we have with us Don Counts and Linda Williams, and we are interviewing Randy Yeoman today. And he was in the Army, and we're certainly interested in hearing your story, Randy.
Hi, I was raised in a Navy family, so we knew about service from the very beginning. I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee, while my dad was serving out in San Diego on a ship. Uh, as a dependent son, we traveled all over. We went from California to Florida. Uh, we were in Naples, Italy, when the Berlin Wall went up, which was in, I think it was like in 61 or 62. Uh, and then Dad retired after 20 years from Jacksonville Beach. And then we moved up to Tennessee, back home. And I graduated from high school at Whitwell High School in Marion County. And after about being out of school for about a year, I think I always knew that I was going to join the service. It just seemed like the natural thing to do, especially back then. But the recruiter chased me for about a year, and I got tired of it. So one day, he called up, and Dad took the phone, and he told him, he says, "Look, I've told my son there's two people you can't believe, a used car salesman and a recruiter. If he wants to talk to you, he'll call you." And about a year after that, I did call him, joined as a military policeman. That's all I wanted to do. And took basic training at Fort Knox, took AIT, the advanced training at Fort Gordon, Georgia. After completing that, that was in 75, and Valentine's Day of 76, I arrived in Northern California at a place called Herlong Army Depot in Herlong, California, where we guarded items, we'll say. It was out in the middle of the desert. It was just the end of the world, it seemed like. And then after serving there for a period of time, I came down on orders to go to Hawaii. And I was all excited about it, but my first sergeant flagged those orders, canceled them, because we were shorthanded and they needed people that had been there for a while. And then the next cycle, everybody started to go into Korea, and I was afraid of that. And but I came down on orders for Puerto Rico, and I went to my first sergeant and I begged him, please don't cancel these. I don't want to go to Korea. And sure enough, we went to Korea. My oldest daughter, Michonne, was born in Puerto Rico at the Navy base at Eisenhower, I think was the name of the hospital. And we served there till I got out. I ETS'd in 76. Worked for TVA for about a year at Bellefonte Nuclear Plant. That is still not online. And after working there a year as just a general laborer, I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I stayed sick all winter. Told my wife, said, I'm going to college. So I graduated from Motlow in about, I guess that was about 79. And that was a bad time economically. So I tried to get jobs, couldn't get a job. Went back to the Army. Went to the MEP station, and that was back when they had the theme, "Be All You Can Be." And so I went there, took my test, did great. The recruiter said, "We've just got one problem." Says, "We want you to be all you can be, but right now there's too much of you." So I had to go it took me about 6 months to go from about 230 down to 175. When I hit 175, I went back in. But as I was signing the papers, he asked me, he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I got a degree in programming. I scored real good on my ASVAB test." And he said, "Man," he says, "you can have any job in the Army you want." And I said, "Well, I want to be something with IT, something in computers." He says, "Okay." So he's going down the checklist: no drugs, no arrests, no felonies, you're not prior service. And I said, "Well, wait a minute, I am prior service." And he said, "Oh, wait a minute." And he hit that button, and my choices went from everything in the Army down to being a cook, a tanker, wheeled vehicle mechanic, or infantry. So they weren't real big on prior service, because if you're coming back because you know what it is, and they don't have to give you all the glamorous jobs. So they give you the jobs that they want you to have. So I took infantry, went and took basic training at 28 years old, which doesn't seem old now, but let me tell you, 28 years old at Fort Benning in July and August is rough. And they made me a trainee leader for my platoon. And I can tell you there was many times that I was carried across the finish line on those runs. I just couldn't keep up with the guys. They brought in pugil sticks, which is the combat, to practice for hand to hand. And I was fighting against 17, 18-year-olds, 19, and they were so fast. And I would see the strike coming. I was just too slow to block it, and I got wore out on that. But when I finally graduated from there, applied for OCS, was held over for OCS, became a drill corporal for about 9 months, and then I got a call from brigade headquarters. They wanted me to be the driver for the brigade commander, the Colonel Edmund Scholes. And I didn't want to do it, so I sent a buddy of mine in my place. When they found out it wasn't me, they came and got me. And I ended up driving for him for several months. An amazing man. He was actually a contributor to Fox News. He lives down, I hope he's still alive, he lives down in Florida. And I'm going to tell you, if you wanted to see the epitome of a leader, General Scholes was that man. He'd make you go anywhere as long as he was there with you. It was great learning time for me, but I was turned down for OCS for various reasons, and got sent out to the National Training Center, Fort Irwin, again in the desert. Seemed to be my lot when I went to California. But we had just opened up the National Training Center, so everything was new. They use laser, like the laser tag. They use it on a larger scale, where you would have the laser receivers, and your rifle would have a laser beam. Your tanks would have a laser beam, your machine guns and everything. And they could tell when something got killed, and they'd shut you down, and you'd just have war, except you got to go home at night. So I stayed there for a couple years and kept trying to reclass out of infantry, but they won't let you get out of infantry unless their number requirements equals their enlistment requirements. And there was like 1 week when it happened, and I had my paper sitting on the guy's desk, and he put me in, and I went from being an infantry tank commander to going to school at Fort Gordon for 10 months, becoming a computer technician. And that changed my life. After going to school there for 10 months, we actually would troubleshoot a computer system. This was back in '86, so they weren't the little, computers like you wear on your watch. They were computers that filled this room. And my final exam there, they walked in and just said, "Yeoman, the system's down." And you had to figure out what was down, what it was, what was causing it. It could be anything from a fuse to a missing chip in one of the machines. And fortunately, I found it in record time and went to my sergeants and said, "Okay, tell me, is this a hard one or is this an easy one? I need to know." And he said, "No," he said, "actually, it's pretty hard." So I was blessed to be able to do that and get out of there. And then got PCS to Pirmasens, Germany, which is in the southern part of Germany, in the Rhineland-Pfalz area, and served there for a couple years, working on those computers. And then they did what the government normally does. They contracted out my job, and I got called into the commander's office, and she says, "We need to get you reclassified into something else." I says, "Okay." She says, "You can be and she started naming off all these things that were combat arms and multiple launch rocket system repair and all. And I told her, I said, "Ma'am, that sounds like it's in the field." And she says, "Well, a little field duty never hurt anybody." Of course, she had never been in the field either. You can edit that out if you want. And I told her, I said, I've done enough field. I said, I'm out. So I ETS'd, got out of the Army on a Friday, and went to work for GTE on a Monday, doing the same exact thing I was doing before. And I stayed over there. I ended up staying over there 3 years in the Army, and then I stayed another 3 years working with GTE. And I can tell you the last 3 years were by far the best 3 years over there. What I thought was neat was that when the Berlin Wall went up, I was there as a dependent. My dad was there. When the wall came down, I was serving as a soldier in Germany and got a chance to go to Berlin. I've got a chunk of wall probably about like that, about that big. I've got a picture here somewhere. I don't know if you can see it. That's me on one side, my pastor on the other, and an East German border guard that we had enticed to step through the wall to get a cup of coffee because it was cold. So that was kind of neat to be able to do that. We had a choice. We could either chisel out the chunk we wanted, or we could pay the East Germans. And they may have been communists for a lot of years, but let me tell you, they became capitalists overnight. And so we paid them. I told my wife it'd be neat to have one of them give me the wall. So as we were walking down the road, we saw one guy in a little Traube. Their car's about this big. And you could have your choice of, like Ford, black, or black. But this guy was fanning out all the money that he had, and he was just in awe at what he had. So after working for GTE for 3 years, I was a government contractor, so I went to Fort McPherson in Atlanta, and I served at the Intel Center there. I was there during the Olympics, was able to work with all the three-letter organizations that were down in our facility, watching, tracking, and when the bombs went off, they were all going crazy, and we were too. And then I decided I wanted to go home to Tennessee, and so we started looking around and saw that Redstone Arsenal, while it's not in Tennessee, it's close enough. And so I applied for many jobs there, and the guys told me, says, you've got to know somebody there. Somebody's got to die before you could take their place, because people go there and stay forever, which is true. But eventually I was called, offered a job. I stayed there for about 20 years. I retired in 2018 with 35 years of service as a active duty and civilian. So that was good times. We had some. I really enjoyed working down there. People don't realize what all is on Redstone Arsenal, but it is amazing. And so I retired in 2018 and did what you're supposed to do, I thought, on retirement. Sort of laid on the couch, watched TV, puttered around the house, until one day my wife came and says, "You got to get out of here." I was hoping she was talking about get a job, get out of the house and come back at night. And that's when I decided to join the Red Cross. I'm a volunteer for the Red Cross. I'm part of the disaster action team and the government operations. I'm a liaison with the emergency management agency down here. So when we have house fires, we respond. We go to house fires and try to help people through that time. The Red Cross gives grants to people who've had a house burn down. They help with clothes and medicine and food and that type of stuff. I also went down to Hurricane Ian to help down there in the shelters. I also and that kind of got me going. And one day I was sitting up at the chapter up in Murfreesboro, and they said, "Hey, do you want a free class?" And I'm all about free classes. And so he says, "It's a CPR class where you can get recertified." And we've been recertified. We fostered for 25 years. In fact, my 29-year-old son was our first foster child, and he lives up in Murfreesboro now. But I took the class, and as I was sitting in the class, I said, "You know what? I believe I could do this." So I started my own little sole proprietorship, heart-to-heart training, and I teach CPR and basic life support and all the classes that go along with that. And it keeps me busy, probably 15 to 18 classes a week, or a month, not a week, a month, from Huntsville to Nashville to Franklin, all over the place. So now I'm doing that and just sort of puttering around the house when she's not looking.
I think I know the answer to this question, but would you recommend kids this day and time to go into the service?
My grandson was here visiting us a little bit ago, and he was scared to death that they were going to impose a draft. And I hurt his feelings because I told him I think they need to have the draft. And I think every person, young person, ought to serve a minimum of 2 years. I think that's part of the problem with our society today is we don't know what service is. We know you give to me, but we don't know the me I give to you part. But yeah, I think it did wonders for us. My wife was born and raised in Tennessee. She had gone to Florida, Alabama, and Kentucky, and that was her life. Now we've been all over. So it wasn't anything new to us. A week after we got married, she was in California, Nevada. Now, about a year later, she was in Puerto Rico. Then we got out, we had that break, and then we took off to California again, to Germany. And while she was in Germany, while I was working, her and her girlfriends really learned a lot about Europe.
Yeah, I bet they did.
And the girls, my daughters, my youngest daughter loved it. She was totally enveloped in the German culture. She would walk through the village. We lived in the villages, Hasselweg. No, that was a street. I don't remember the name of the town we were in, village. But 9 o'clock, she'd come down and say, "Hey, I'm going for a walk." And it's like, "Okay, go ahead." And she'd walk the town square and walk, look in the stores and all that. Never had a care. My oldest daughter, she wasn't real crazy about it. She didn't want to assimilate. But they got to, like, one of them went to a field trip to Salzburg. One of them went on a field trip. They cruised the Rhine River. They went to Trier, which is the oldest walled city in Europe. And they didn't really appreciate it until they came back and got in school. And they were just happened to be studying world history. And they talked about the Rhine River, and one of them said, "Oh yeah, well, I went on a field trip there." Talk about Salzburg. "Oh yeah, been there." Trier, been there. And the kids turn around and says, "We can only read about this stuff. You've been there. Man, you're so lucky." And then it clicked for them, and they really appreciated the education that they were afforded. But that's me.
Very good.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you for
Glad
your
to.
service.
Thank you.